What do you think the biggest risk that they're taking is for not having a marketing?
I think they're gonna throw money at the wall and not know what they're even throwing money at.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. As always, I'm your host Smike, and today I'm joined by, well, you just saw one of them 2 weeks ago, Sarah over here, our marketing director, but we also have Megan, our VP here at Spotlight Branding. Welcome to you both.
Thank you. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Obviously, you two make a great duo for this topic, mainly because it's marketing plans, and
Megan likes planning.
Megan likes planning, and Sarah likes marketing. So, it's just the right duo there. And I want to start off because I want to preface this with I would say a majority of small law firms, just based on the stats out there, believe that they don't even need a marketing plan, to begin with. I think it was something only a third even have a marketing plan, or at least something documented, right? I mean, they say the worst kind of plan is no plan whatsoever.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts on that, or have you heard that before?
Sounds like a horror movie.
It does.
It's terrifying. I mean, I guess the question is no matter what kind of job you have or plan you have for your day, do you actually get up and typically just say, oh, I'm just going to do whatever I want today whenever I want? Yeah. I don't know very many people that live that way. So it'd be...
Yeah. It sounds like a very chaotic way to live.
Yeah, I'd be stressed out.
I don't know. It makes sense to me, though. I mean, they went to law school. They didn't go to...
It makes sense that they don't have one.
It makes sense. Yeah. No, it doesn't make sense to not have one, but it makes sense that it wouldn't come first thought, I didn't go to law school, so my first thought isn't to have things in legal order. Mm-hmm. I went to marketing school, so.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are at a marketing agency, so it worked out for you.
Yeah, it did.
So in terms of let's talk about a small law firm that doesn't have a marketing plan to begin with, which is, as we just discussed, probably a majority of the people listening.
Yeah.
What are some signs that they've gone off track that if they want to do, make a marketing plan, what are some of the signs that they should kind of course correct? What are the things that they're looking for if they're going to create a marketing plan, from scratch?
What are the things they're looking for?
Yeah, so basically, they don't have any idea how to make a marketing plan. Mm-hmm. They don't know what do you put in a marketing plan.
So how to start then?
Yeah. So when I say what are the signs that they're looking for, it's more okay, how do I know if A is already off track and B is not?
Well, the first thing to start with any marketing plan or any plan in general is the objective. What are we trying to achieve?
Yeah. Because
then that needs to sort of loop back around to, did we achieve it? Mm-hmm. And then that, then you can tell if the plan has been successful or not. So I had a professor at university who every time you asked a question, he would shout, what is the objective? And it was drilled into our brain that every plan, every start needs to start with an objective. Mm. A SMART objective, of course, SMART. And we can...
What's SMART stand for those that...
Specific, measurable, actionable. What's the R?
Realistic.
And
timely.
And then timely, of course.
Yeah.
Realistic. The R it's realistic or relative.
Yeah.
Relative to what you're doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I love that you had a professor that used to yell at, because that's great. I wish you would just yell that in my office every day. But I do think it's kind of start from the end. We talk about that, and Mark, our owner, he's hardcore about some reverse engineering, but I'm always very much hey, start at the end. What do you want? What's the objective? Mm-hmm. But then breaking it down into bite-sized pieces, right? Exactly. And right now is the best time to do that because there's about to be a new year that starts. And so it's a matter of okay, what do you want at the end of next year?
Yeah.
All right, what do you want each quarter? What does that look like monthly? What does that look like weekly? And so I'm very much the kind of person that's all right, objective for sure, and then break it down into bite-sized pieces.
Absolutely, yeah.
So when you say, break it down into bite-sized pieces, what are you talking about? A day-to-day, or are you talking about week-to-week? Or
I mean, I'm a day-to-day kind of girl. I know not a lot of people love to operate that way. That feels very rigid and structured, and that's okay. But, structure's there for a reason. It's typically so that you can get that stuff that has to be done, and then you have the freedom for everything else. But I would probably say at least get some quarterly structure happening so that you know what's going to happen within the monthly stuff. And I think that's how we do our marketing plan here as well.
Yeah, sort of month to month. Like, yes, you start with where do you see yourself in December 2025, and then work backwards from that. What do I need to do to achieve that? And break that down into 12 bite-sized pieces, and then you have yourself a monthly, plan for the year.
Yeah, and then we're always, once we do that backwards, we're always looking ahead to about 90 days out, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to constantly, work backwards, but then constantly look ahead because it's going to need some adjusting. It's going to need some rerouting or getting back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of putting out like an assumption here because, like I said at the beginning, most small law firms don't believe that they need a marketing plan, but they're probably aware that larger firms have a marketing plan. So it's probably they might have like a mindset that like, oh, like I'm not big enough to have a marketing plan. Like I'm not in that game, so to say. So it seems as if having a marketing plan is their way of sticking out from the crowd, right from the start.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and marketing doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be outsourced. You could start with, obviously, once again, your objectives, but, say it doesn't fit within a budget because you should probably have a broad idea of what you're wanting to spend too, right, within a marketing plan. But if it doesn't fit right then and there, there's also this idea of like when you're planning, you prioritize, right? So like what's a non-negotiable or something that needs to be done in order to accomplish your objective within your marketing plan? Okay, well, if you can do those yourself, guess what? You're gonna have to do those yourself for a while. And then eventually you prioritize things that hopefully you can outsource or you can rely on other vendors to take care of for you. But doing nothing at all is not going to get you any closer to that objective, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned budget. So I feel like that's probably why, again, just assumption, but I feel like that might be a reason why a lot of small law firms, they don't have a marketing plan because they think like, oh, like I don't have a big budget like a bigger law firm. So I'm just going to throw it wherever whatever the day brings. I'm just going to put some here and put some there and that sort of thing. So for budget, what are we looking at in terms of where their budget is best spent, like for their small law firm?
Where it's best spent, that would depend. That would depend highly on their objective and what they want to achieve,
And
where
their
they're
practice
at, and their
areas.
practice areas. Yeah, I mean, we see, some law firms are on the radio or and they're using traditional type marketing activities. I think that, the bare minimum should be a website. You should have a social media presence.
For sure.
And then all, the big stuff, I would leave that to the big guys to have billboards, because you're also not going to be able to keep it up if your budget is small. You might be able to afford a billboard once, and that's not going to do anything. But if you can do social media consistently, if you can have a website consistently, that's going to serve you better in the long term.
Hey there, we're going to get right back to the episode in just a few seconds here, but I wanted to share this opportunity that's exclusive for podcast listeners, or if you're watching on YouTube, exclusive to you as well. If you book a strategy session with us, using the link in the podcast description or YouTube description, in the notes section, all you got to do is type LFMM for a Law Firm Marketing Minute. And if you decide that we're a great fit and we decide you're a great fit for us, you'll have no monthly payments until January 2025. Pretty crazy. So go ahead and check the description. All right, let's get right back to the episode.
Mark has mentioned before, Mark, our owner, for anyone listening, has mentioned before that in terms of budget, a good place to at least start is like, was it 10%? I believe it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the bare minimum, I would say, right? I
Yeah.
mean, as a marketing company, but also in previous careers that I've been in, we've always spent around that 20% range, and that's not even a marketing company previously in my career. But 10% is definitely probably where you at least need to start, and be sure that you're allocating that to some type of marketing initiatives.
Yeah, and the percentage makes sense because the percentage means that as you grow, so does your
Scales.
marketing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It scales with you. So in terms of not knowing exactly what the next year is going to hold, what 2025 is going to hold, what is that like for lawyers? Like, well, I don't know what 2025 is going to bring. Like,
I think most lawyers will know where they want to be in a year. Like, where do they want to see growth? Where do they, if they've been in practice for a few years and they've sort of kind of hit a wall at a figure, and they're saying, I want to see a 25% increase in revenue. By doing that, I need this many more clients, these type of cases. And they can start defining things about like what do they want and working from there. So I actually spoke to one of our clients yesterday who spoke about the type of clients that are coming in and that he wants to see more of this type of client. And what we did for him was start writing blogs and social media towards those things, and he's seeing traction there. So that sounds simple and almost like, well, yeah, duh. But it's, you have to start with what do I want?
Well, okay, so to that, what if they don't know? They know what they want, but they don't know how to get there.
I mean, call somebody. Listen
Yeah.
to a podcast. Listen
Hey,
to
well-
our podcast. We do that, right? Like we give away the secret sauce, but I mean, obviously,
I'll give
as
you my
lawyers-
emails. Let me
That was for anyone listening. That was a quick little like toss-up question
Shameless,
for the
yeah.
shameless plug.
It's not even that though. It's like, my God, DM me on LinkedIn. I will tell you. you
Yeah.
know? I think that there's
download
no-
our free resource, our
Yeah.
marketing plan
Yeah.
resource.
There's
I-
no shortage of
Yeah.
free information out there,
There's
but
download
honestly, I
our
mean,
free
even
resource,
look,
marketing
some
plan.
people
Yeah.
might be turned off by having
Yeah.
even just like
free
a sales
information.
demo or a free strategy call with a marketing company other than just us, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is like you get on
Download our
any of those
free
calls with
resource.
anybody, you're going to learn something, or you're at
tell
least
you.
going
Yeah.
to find out what direction you should
Download
go.
our free
Yeah.
resource.
Right?
Definitely, absolutely.
You might not be able to afford them, or you're just like, you might be overwhelmed, but they have literally just
Yeah.
given you
Right.
free
Definitely,
direction,
absolutely.
Yeah.
which is worth thousands of dollars
Yeah.
within
Yeah.
30 minutes. So just like ask somebody that does know,
Yeah.
because I don't feel like there's
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people out there that are going to hoard their knowledge. They're willing to share it.
Yeah. Especially in today's day and age, I feel like it's a much more giving
Yeah.
society,
And
which is weird because then you got people that are like apocalyptic and we're like, no, we are living in the end times.
Yeah.
You got to give to
It's
receive,
a season
right?
of giving.
Yeah.
It's Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so to continue on that path, let's give the listeners the kind of information that they need in terms of what can get them where. So, you've got different marketing activities, you got events, you got social media, blogs, etc. And we talk about penciling in, right? And don't be afraid to pencil in, and don't be afraid to change things,
Yeah.
and whatnot. What are we looking for in January, quarter one, I should say, of 2025? Let's give away our personal secret sauce here. What are we doing in Q1 to set ourselves up for success?
We have a lot going on.
Nice.
We
Well,
are
I'd
in
probably
a
say-
lot of events.
And we've got our buckets that we're like,
Yeah.
The
trying to
buckets.
fill-
Let's go. Explain buckets real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think you should probably identify your buckets. Obviously, put everything you'd want to do on there
Mhm.
and pencil in what it might cost, but you might have to erase some, right? And we even do that sometimes. Like, this isn't gonna fit in this quarter, but you need to have your buckets that are going to get you to the objective that you feel is going to move the needle the best, right? Within the budget, like the best ROI on the budget. So have your buckets of like events or
Social
email,
media,
social
yeah.
media, just branding in general. So you have to have your buckets and then go from there. Fill up the ones that are going to cost the less, but also have the most impact.
Gotcha. So to continue on, our Q1, what's it look like? You said a
Our
lot.
Q1 has, so within our buckets,
So,
we have a
to
lot of
continue.
events going on in Q1. A lot of conferences tend to happen at that in January. Actually, there's not a lot of conferences in February for some reason. But January and March, heavy on the events. Of course, we have our newsletters and our e-blast going out. That's consistent throughout the year. Our social media, of course, has a huge presence, and that's, again, consistent throughout the year. And then we may have little blips of things that will not be consistent throughout the year, but we have some partnerships that may just be for Q1, and then we may have a different partnership for Q2. And that's just reaching our target audience in, different target areas.
Yeah, I also think that Q1 is a big drop for us in print. We don't do a lot of print throughout the year, but we'll be dropping our trends report, which is something that we do every year. And
shameless plug.
that launches in Q1. And so I think that that's going to be huge. It's one of those things that we survey all these attorneys and they get the feedback. And guess what? Who does that benefit? That it benefits attorneys.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that's unique to Q1 that we don't do the rest of the year typically is print.
Real quick, her watch went off. The last episode she was on, her watch went off twice in a row.
And it doesn't go off all day long. I'm kind of like, hey, is this thing working? And then,
She set a timer for, give me
Getting
an
out of
excuse
here.
to get out of here.
Her time block is going off for her and within her marketing plan of her day.
Yeah.
So
I do plan my day like that, actually.
no shame in that. So a lawyer that has bare minimum time to spend on no shame in that. So obviously, a lawyer can outsource. Another shameless plug. They can outsource, and even if it's not spotlight brand, just be, don't drive yourself insane. Don't stress yourself. But for the ones that are like, no, like I know my brand better than anybody, and I'm going to do it, this way. What do you say to them? I mean, like, I listen. Lawyers are great people, but they do have an ego at times, and everyone does. But
don't we all? Yeah.
I would say though that I'm not a lawyer, so I can go to court and represent myself, and I can do the research, and I can go and argue my case. So now, I can go to if I was convicted of something serious, I may want to get a lawyer. I'm not gonna try to do it myself, but quite frankly, I'm the kind of person that even if I got a speeding ticket, I'm getting a lawyer. I'm not gonna try to do anything myself. I'll leave it to the expert, and that's sort of my feeling when it comes to. There's a lot of marketing that you can research and try to do your own, and an expert can help you even do those things on your own. And I would just consult an expert anyway. Get those things maybe even planned and sorted, and then you can take some of them yourself to do. But I would get with an expert.
Yeah, and I'll get a little woo for just a minute because it's kind of like, let me relate it, right? You're going to not go tell a potential client that they can do this case themselves. Let me break it down. Like, you're a lawyer and practicing law is a form of art, just like marketing is. Marketing yourself is a form of art. And what's great about, let's just use Spotlight Branding as instance, because that's what we do every day, is that we have writers in-house who know the technical skills of communicating in a certain way to represent their clients, just like lawyers represent their clients. And so it's a form of art, and I think that you should leave the skill set to the artist out there. And so I think that that's kind of what it is for me. It's just like, I don't think lawyers would be like, oh, you could do this yourself and represent yourself when you have to go do this, a mediation or anything like that. So I would tell them the same thing, like, you shouldn't be marketing yourself in the actual technical work of it. Like, allow somebody who learned how to do it, knows the art, to really like represent you in a better way, right? Plus, lawyers are perfectionists. And sometimes done is better than perfect. So they sit and wait and wait and wait. And they're like, I'm going to write the blog and then I'm going to revise it again. I'm going to revise it again. And 6 months later, it's still not out there.
And not only that, a lawyer, they read and write a lot. I'm sure, most of law school was just reading and writing and setting up cases and all of that. But that does not make you the right person to write a blog. A blog is, as you said, it's an art form. And copywriters understand how to take the information and the knowledge that and make it into something digestible for average Joes like us.
Yeah, that someone's going to want to read.
And something's going to want to read,
So...
For lawyers who don't think that they need a marketing plan, we'll go back to them. What do you think the biggest risk that they're taking is for not having a marketing
I think
plan?
they're going to throw money at the wall and not know they're even throwing money at, because a plan also organizes what you have planned and your budget, and this month I'm spending X amount, and so on and so on. And if you have something coming up in July, if you're just kind of willy-nilly all over the place doing stuff, you're not keeping track of what's going on, what you've done, how much you've spent, and it can just end up being chaos. And you ask someone at the end of the year, like, what did you do marketing wise? And it's like, oh, I did all these things and nothing worked. And it's like, well, you didn't really plan for it. You just kind of said, oh, look, something, throw money at it.
Yeah, you can't be angry at anyone but yourself at the end of that, right? It's like you go and you hire someone, or you have someone helping you build a marketing plan. They're already going to bring a form of organization that you lack, because you don't have a marketing plan.
Yeah.
And so like you're able to either troubleshoot, get mad at them. But at the end of the year, if you don't have a marketing plan, the only person that you can be mad, angry, confused with is yourself, because you lack that. You lacked the planning, the organization, and the operation of it.
How far out should you plan a marketing plan?
I would say you have a loose 12-month plan, and then you really firm up your quotas. So the 90 days out should be
Firm.
Very firm, and then you can change things out, because the other thing in marketing is dynamic, and things do tend to change. So you could have tried something, or you had a strategy that was going on January and February, and it may change July and August. Or you may want to put something else in place of that or something.
Yeah.
What would you consider being like the bare minimum for a marketing plan? Because obviously you said that we have a lot going on in Q1. That might ruffle some, it might, shake some people's bones. Because they're like, oh my gosh, like I need to have a lot going on. Well,
no,
yes
we're a marketing agency. So we have a lot going on. We market ourselves. And so I would think within the legal space, your bare minimum is that online digital presence, having a newsletter, without a doubt. Looking at our list of things that we offer, that would be the bare minimum for me for the recommendation to a client. You need to have a newsletter. You need to keep in touch with your core audience. You have a contact list, and they're just sitting there.
Yeah, an evergreen plan to stay top of mind, so that people know you exist. They know you're out there. So I would definitely say have your evergreen stuff that's always on and always going, but maybe on a quarterly, have some type of quarterly initiative as a lawyer. I mean, you're busy. People have to go to court constantly, or they constantly have meetings, or they're traveling. Maybe it's like once a quarter, you want to network. Put that on your plan. Maybe it's like once a month, you want to do a webinar or something. Have something bare bones, but always have an evergreen going, so that you're not turned off at any point.
Yeah, exactly. You're kind of just doing marketing in your sleep.
Yeah.
So this time of year is always seen as, well, I would say this time of year and like January, right, are always seen as those refresh, times and whatnot. Is this the perfect time to start a marketing plan, or is any time the perfect
time? Now is the best time, because I think you're a little late, but
yes, do it now before January 1.
It's like, what? I was planned 3 months ago.
Yeah.
No, I think now is the best time. Even in my personal life, now is the time where most people start looking at, what do I want to achieve in 2025? What do I want for my personal growth, for my family, and I have a list already that's like, these are the things I want to accomplish in 2025. And I'm getting ready, because January 1st, the plan starts. So if you start planning January 1st, then you've lost a month.
Absolutely. So let's end here with a fun question. It's going to really work on the creative minds here. Okay, so the Grinch has become a lawyer. All right.
Jim Carrey Grinch?
Whichever Grinch comes to your head, right? Because, my kids prefer the
little cartoon.
Cartoon.
Oh,
not the original cartoon, like the newer
new
one. Yeah. I don't know why. The Jim Carrey one is by far the
greatest. But
although the original one's pretty good too. But anyways, so the Grinch has become a lawyer, right? And you're tasked with creating a marketing plan. Let's just do Q1, right?
Okay.
You don't got to do the whole year. What kind of marketing activities very specific with the Grinch. We all know the Grinch.
What's his objective? To steal
His objective,
Christmas, or?
well, no, he already stole Christmas,
Oh,
right?
okay,
Yeah, this
yeah.
is Q1. He's already
Okay.
done that. You know, he's trying to turn a leaf, right?
Okay.
Because he apologized, he brought his presents back.
His heart's all big now.
That's
It's
right. That's right.
Three
So his
sizes.
brand, right, is his heart is he's got a big heart now, and his objective is for Q1 is just to get as much outreach as possible because he's starting fresh.
Okay.
So almost like saving face a little bit for the people
Okay.
that didn't come to the town square and sing Kumbaya with the rest of the Who's.
Right.
Yeah.
He needs to reach all these people.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he needs
Does he
to
have their
save
email
face.
address?
Oh, for sure. You know, what is
Definitely
it?
needs a newsletter.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, he
Newsletter,
definitely
okay.
needs to write some blogs so that he can, express how, the hot 3 times its size feels and all the things he wants to do.
Maybe he needs to get
people-
some social proof. Maybe
Some
get a doctor.
consistent
to
social
prove his-
media
his
so
doctor.
that people know he's not falling off the wagon.
Yeah, he has a consistent presence.
Yeah.
Oh, presents.
Some video FAQs.
No. You can't have a consistent presence. That's a trigger word for the Grinch. Anything else before we close up here? Anything that we didn't talk about? Anything that kind of comes to mind?
I mean, I just think the biggest thing is the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. And if you want a mechanism, there it is. So whatever pace you're going at on creating this marketing plan or running your business or the success that you're wanting, you better make sure that your speed matches your objective at the end of it.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, once again, you're going to be sitting there mad at the end of it, and the only person you'd be mad at is yourself. So
Yeah, you're gonna get left behind.
yeah.
So the start that everyone listening here, if they haven't created one, their start is number 1, identify their objective.
Correct.
Objectives.
No, or
Could be
objectives. Know where you
several
wanna go.
objectives. Yep. Know
Awesome.
where you want to go.
Well, I appreciate you guys being on the podcast. This was a fun one, and I'm sure you'll be on future podcasts as well.
Cool.
Where you go.
Thank you.
And everybody listening, thanks for listening, and have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.